In this section, we're going to be writing equations of circles. So let's recall the standard form of the equation of a circle. Again, is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared, where the h and the k is the transformation that moves your center. So your center will be located at hk, and your r is your radius. So write each equation in standard form with the given information. So we're just doing this backwards. So if our center has been shifted left 2 down 7, that would be x plus 2 and y plus 7 would be your transformation, and then equals r squared. If the radius is 16, that'd be 16 times 16, which is 256, and there's your circle. So doing the same thing, just backwards. So the next one, x minus h squared, this one has not been shifted, so we don't have to put plus or minus 0. Plus, it has been shifted up 1, so that'd be y minus 1 squared equals r squared. So right here we have to square the radius. So square the 3, square the square root of 6. That'll be a 9 and 6, which gives you 54. There's the equation of that circle. Number 3. The center has been shifted right 5 down 4, so that'd be x minus 5 and y plus 4. There's your transformation on your center. Is equal to, careful, this is a diameter, so the radius is half of that, so equals 144, which is the radius squared. Number 4, the center has been shifted left 2, and the center has been shifted up 6. So there you go. Is equal to, okay, if the diameter is root 30, you got to be a little careful here. That would mean the radius is the square root of 30 divided by 2. You half it. So therefore, when you square the radius, r squared, to square the top, it's easy. To square a square root, you simply remove the square root. Square the bottom gives you 4. So you could put this as, let's reduce that, that's 15 over 2. So you could write it as 15 over 2 here, which is r squared, or you could put 7.5. Either way, same thing. Okay, number 5 gives you a center and a circumference. So given the center and the circumference or area, let's remind you that circumference is simply pi times diameter. The area is pi times the radius squared, just all depending on what they give you. So if they give you circumference, circumference is pi times diameter. So pretty much they've given you the diameter, which is 10. So that would mean the radius would be 5. So that's all you need. So now let's actually get the equation. Center is at negative 8, 0. So we're going to shift it left 8. And we're not going to shift it up or down any. And since the radius is 5, we're going to put equals 25. Number 6. The circumference is pi times diameter. So let's pull, there's our pi. Let's pull the diameter out of this. There is your diameter. The diameter would be 4 root 6. So that means the radius would be half of that, which is 2 root 6. You divide it by 2. So therefore, the center shifts it right 3 up 4. So minus 3 and y minus 4 is equal to the radius squared. So we've got to square this. So square each piece. Square the 2, square the square root of 6 gives you 4 times 6, or 24. Number 7 gives you an area. Reminder that area is pi times radius squared. So in this problem, I'm going to show you a shortcut. Here's pi. That means that this right here is r squared, or radius squared. Well, think about it. In our problem, in our circles, x squared plus y squared equals not radius, but actually radius squared. So I'm going to show you, this would be kind of pointless, but the r squared is 324. If you take that extra step and actually take the square root of that to find the radius, it's going to actually create more work than you have to do. The square root of 324 would be your radius, and I'm just going to leave it like that. So your center has got shifted left 1 and up 1. So that'd be x plus 1 and y minus 1 is equal to radius squared. So here's where the radius squared goes. Well, here's the radius. You would have to turn right around and square it, which gives you 324. Why not just label it and leave it as this is r squared, so that's what you put here, 324, because that's what we need is r squared. Next up, your center is at negative 5, 6. Let's go ahead and do that part first. That's x plus 5 squared plus y minus 6 squared equals. All we need now is r squared. Well, if the area is pi times r squared, well, here's pi, so that means this stuff right here must be r squared. So simply put 10 root 2 there. There's your radius squared. Next one. Let's see, they said given a graph, we're looking for an equation now. Well, first thing we need is our center. So let's find our center, which I believe is located right here. So that center's been shifted left 1, 2, 3, 4, and down 1. So shift left 4, that would be x plus 4. Down 1 will be y plus 1 equals. Now we need a radius. So just count. Here's the center. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is your radius. So equals r squared there. Your center here is located there, and that's going to be at 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So right 1 would be x minus 1. Down 6 would be y plus 6 equals, now we need a radius. The radius is the distance from here to here, which is 2. So the radius squared would be 4. Okay, step 4, a little bit more difficult, given the center and a point on the circle. So we will need our distance and midpoint formula for this set. The distance formula was the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared in 2 space. The midpoint was equal to add your x's, divide by 2, add your y's, divide by 2. So why would we need that? Okay, if they give us the center of our circle and they give us a point on the circle, then the radius is going to be the distance from the center to that point. And we'll talk about in a second, why would we need a midpoint? So therefore, if the center of our circle is located at -5, -6, we've got most of our problem. Shift it left 5, shift it down 6. There's our circle so far. All we need is a radius. So the distance from the center to the outside is going to be the radius. So I'm going to use my distance formula here. Distance is equal to the square root of x2 minus x1. Okay, the point on the circle and the center, the distance from here to here is the radius. So let's do x2 minus x1. So that's going to be 7. y2 minus y1, that's going to be 9. So distance is equal to the square root of 7 squared plus 9 squared, which is 49, plus 81. That's going to be the square root of 130 is the distance. The distance from here to here. Now, don't get D mixed up with diameter. It's distance. So if the distance from here to here is root 130, that's our radius. So therefore, our radius squared would be 130. And there's the equation for a circle. Okay, the center of this circle is located at 4, -10. So let's shift it right 4. And let's shift it down 10 by doing y plus 10. There's your transformation. The point on the circle is located here. Now, again, I want to remind you of something, that instead of using your distance formula, you can use Pythagorean theorem. Just say the radius, the distance from here to here, is going to be the square root of this distance. How far is it from 4 to 10? That'd be 6. How far is it from -10 to -15? That'd be 5. So do simply the square root of 6 squared plus 5 squared. That's 36 and 25, which is root 61. That's the radius. So therefore, your radius squared would be 61. Now, why would we need, well, let's do 2 more of those, because we don't quite need that midpoint yet. So the center is going to be at 2, 2. So that'd be x minus 2 squared plus y minus 2 squared. The radius is going to be the distance from here to here. So that's going to be the square root of, how far is it from -9 to 2? That's going to be 11. How far is it from -5 to 2? That's going to be 7. So the radius is the square root of 11 squared plus 7 squared. That's the square root of 121 and 49, which is 170. That's your radius. So therefore, the radius squared would be 170. And the last one of those, the center is at 8, -3. So you have x minus 8 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals, we need a radius. Radius would be the square root of, how far is it from 2 to 8? That'd be 6. How far is it from -3 to -2? That'd be 1. So that's going to be the square root of 37. So r squared would be 37. And there's your equation. So why would we need a midpoint? Here's why. If you're given the endpoints of a diameter, if this is the diameter of your circle, where's the center? The center is between those two endpoints. The center would be the midpoint. Then how would you find your radius? The radius would be the distance. There's two different ways to do it. The easy way would be the distance from the midpoint to either endpoint. Or you can find the distance between the two endpoints and half it. You can do it either way, but the first method is a little bit faster. So first off, here's the endpoints of a diameter. So to find the center, we're going to find the midpoint of those 2 points. How do we find midpoint? We add our x's, and the formula is up above. Add your x's and divide by 2. Add your y's and divide by 2. So the center of my circle is located at -2, -6. So now let's use that. My equation will be x plus 2 squared plus y plus 6 squared equals. Now I need a radius. The radius, let me do it in a different color here. The radius is the distance from the center to either one of these points up here. I'm going to use the second point. It does not matter which one you use. So that's going to be the square root of, how far is it from -5 to -2? It would be 3. How far is it from 4 to -6? Would be 10. So the radius would be the square root of 109. So therefore your radius squared would be 109. So there's the equation of your circle. Let's do it a few more times. Number 16, first off, you need the center of your circle. If these are endpoints of the diameter, the center is going to be the midpoint of those 2 points. Add your x's, divide by 2, add your y's, and divide by 2. That means the center is located at -4, 3. So therefore, your equation thus far is going to be x plus 4 squared plus y minus 3 squared is equal to. Now we need a radius. The radius, again, is the distance from the center to either one of these points. I'm going to use the first one now. It does not matter which one you use. So the radius is going to be the square root. How far is it from -4 to 9 would be 13. Don't forget to square. We're using Pythagorean theorem. How far is it from 1 to 3 would be 2. So it'd be the square root of 169 and 4, which is 173. So is equal to r squared now would be 173. So there is your equation. Number 17. Step number 1, we need a center. To find the center, this is the endpoints of a diameter. We're going to find our midpoint. Add your x's, divide by 2. Add your y's, divide by 2. So the center is located at 1, 3. So therefore, your equation thus far is going to be x minus 1 squared plus y minus 3 squared is equal to r squared. Again, to find the radius, that's the distance from the center to either point. It doesn't matter which one you use. So the radius is going to be the square root. How far is it from 6 to 1 would be 5. How far is it from -3 to 3 would be 6. So it's going to be the square root of 25 and 36, which is the square root of 61. That's your radius. Therefore, your radius squared, which goes into your formula, would be 61. And number 18. First off, we need a center. We find the center by finding the midpoint. Add your x's. 15 and 3, -3 is 12. Divide by 2. Add your y's and divide by 2. So therefore, your center is at 6, 4. So your equation is x minus 6 squared plus y minus 4 squared equals r squared. Let's find our radius. R is equal to the square root of the distance from the center to either point. The distance from -3 to 6 is 9. So we have square root of 9 squared plus the distance from -1 to 4 is 5. So your radius is the square root of 81 and 25, which is 106. That's the radius, so therefore r squared would be 106.